I want to talk about Tennessee. I want to talk about Tennessee because, as many of you know, it is the marquee non-conference game at Owen Field this year. While I know there are lots of people, myself included, that are fired up about Oklahoma traveling to West Point to play in historic Michie Stadium, Tennessee is the game, right? Tennessee is the game on the calendar because Tennessee is on a tear, winning its last 6 games of the 2019 season after an abysmal start that included a loss to Georgia friggin' State. Yeah, the Panthers, whose head coach got up in the middle of them after the game and yelled, "Hey, here it just means more." Yo. Jeremy Pruitt and the squad able to put something back together. They get a comeback win against Indiana in the Gator Bowl, and now they feel real good about their opportunity in the SEC East, even as I think Florida is most poised to usurp Georgia as the SEC division representative in the SEC championship game. But for me, it's about what are you going to be defensively and what are you actually going to expect out of Jarrett Guarantano, to which now we get to the anonymous portion of our schedule. What coaches have anonymously said about the Tennessee Volunteers. And we start with the offense, in which a coach anonymously said they should have a really strong offensive line, and they've got a 4th-year quarterback. He's not the most talented. He has shown some really bad decision-making, but experience at quarterback is invaluable in the SEC. The problem is they have to put the right weapons around him. Guarantano passed for 2,158 yards last year, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in an 8-win campaign. It almost felt like if they had almost, good quarterback play, like almost good quarterback play, that they would have beat Georgia State and probably stood a chance of beating Alabama in a game I remember watching going, why is Tennessee still in this game? And he had a horrific fumble in that game where Guarantano tried to punch the ball in over the line. He lost it in a fumble. We saw Trayvon Diggs pick it up, run with it. Is bad. He also loses his 2 leading receivers, Juwan Jennings and Marquez Callaway. The duo combined for 89 receptions, 1,604 yards, 14 touchdowns. I'm thinking that the strength of their team offensively is going to be the offensive line and the tailbacks. Eric Gray, Ty Chandler, both guys averaging 5 yards per carry. And they have dudes that are going to make all SEC and be threats to be All-American on that offensive line. Defensively, this is what's wild. Jeremy Pruitt is a defensive-minded coach, and his safety play sucks. But check it. I'll let the anonymous coach tell you. Defensively, it's up in the air. They have really great corners, but they're bad at safety, like Khalil Houghton bad at safety. They've got talent in front, but they're not really special. It's iffy. The good news is they look more like the old Tennessee. They're bigger and faster. They're developing guys they recruit, and those two things haven't worked together for their defense in a long time. Now, they bring back their leading tackler, and they also bring back Darrell Taylor, who racked up 8.5 sacks last year, and Nigel Warrior had 4 interceptions, right? Nigel Warrior is an all-namer, but also real good, okay? Now, I think that Tennessee could be a 9-win team, but I think one of those wins would have to come against Oklahoma because they get Charlotte on September 5th, where Oklahoma gets Missouri State. Then they get Oklahoma on September 12th, and then they begin SEC play with Florida. If Tennessee were to start the season 3-0, I submit to you it's a top 5 team, okay? Because I expect Florida to once again win 11 games. If they win 12, it's going to be because they won an SEC championship and then probably in the college football playoff because that's how much the college football playoff committee values the SEC. It's also going to be crucial for their recruiting because if you're paying attention to the team rankings, it's not that Tennessee is ranked number 3 in the country in the rankings, like sitting there at number 3 with a score of 259.34. It's that they have 23 commitments as we're heading toward July. For those of you new to this recruiting thing, 25 is the number, right? You can fudge it a little bit based on early enrollees and when kids sign and what your transfer situation is. But for the most part, we're all working around this 25 number. Oklahoma's vaunted number 6 ranked 2019 class had 24 in it, right? It's wild sometimes that you see 30, but, that's really rare. So Tennessee, one, needs to retain all these dudes, and they need those last 2 spots to count because they only got 1 5-star in the boat right now with 9 4-stars. They also lost Kamara Wilcoxon to Florida. And for those of you who don't know, Kamara Wilcoxon's recruitment has been the most entertaining of this cycle. In the same way that Zach Evans' recruitment was the most entertaining of the previous cycle. Because the man, Carl Wilcoxon, is committed, right now to Florida. But he's got crystal balls in that show a confidence level of 10. That's the highest confidence level, locked for Georgia Tech. A confidence level of 10, locked for Ohio State. A confidence level of 10, locked for Florida. 40% of folks that have put in crystal balls are undecided. And then you had 20% to Georgia Tech, 20% to Ohio State, 20% to Florida. It's funny because, this is a great safety. And that's the reason why we care, right? We care because the man compares to Donovan Wilson and runs a sub-4.5 40 and at 6'1" and about 200 pounds, $185. You can understand what kind of talent he really is. But if you look at the timeline, you're just going to be all over the place. So, just starting this year, my man's goes to junior day in February at Florida, goes to junior day in March at Florida as a commit, and then decommits on March 26th. That same day, Alabama's recruiting writer and another predict him to Ohio State. Okay. Gets an offer from SC, and then commits to Tennessee on April 27th. Okay? And then commits to Florida on June 19th, the moment after decommitting from Tennessee. And what I love most about this is the shade that comes along the whole way here, because you got to remember, my man's committed to Florida in November of 2018. And at the time that he flipped back to Tennessee, we had a assistant coach subtweet, are you sure? Coaches are in their feelings about what this child is choosing to do with his verbal pledges. All right, I love recruiting because of the stories, right? I love getting to know the kids. I love getting to know their families. Later this week, you're going to hear from both Danny Stutzman and Steve Stutzman, who were both fantastic interviews. And I really, really love those dudes because of the stories of how these kids get here. Learning things like Danny Stutzman is 220 pounds, benches 340, squats 405, and power cleans 300 pounds. He's still got another year of high school football left to go. And he was rated a 3-star, just doesn't chase camps. If he was going to more camps, I think he would be much highly rated and probably receives, that Alabama offer, that Georgia offer, that Florida offer that's all going to make, Oklahoma fans get kind of into their feelings, which is the point here. The point is, you want to be Jerry Krause. You want to be the guy who is the only person to scout Scottie Pippen at Central Arkansas. And then you want to be able to go get him and trade up to do it and sign him to, a less than contract. Because you want to be the person that is finding the diamonds in the rough. We all think of ourselves as general managers and scouts in some way, right? But the stories of how these kids end up becoming who they are so much cooler than following the timelines. That said, when Kamara Wilcoxon enters the chat, it's hard not to talk about the timeline. It's really difficult. And with Tennessee having games against Charlotte, Oklahoma, Florida in September, if Tennessee were to go undefeated in those 3 games, Is it on the table for Kamar Wilcoxon to flip his commitment? I assure you, that's exactly what's on the table. Because as it is right now, Florida has the number 8 ranked class in the country, number 2 in the SEC, with, following Tennessee. So there's a rivalry there. And they've been building in a very cool and certain way. I'm really enjoying watching what Dan Mullen has been able to pull off at Florida after winning just 4 games in his first season, winning 10 games, then winning 11 in an Orange Bowl. And it feels like the kids in Florida and Georgia, the areas that they have recruited most heavily, are buying into what it is and what it could be at the University of Florida, as they, like Oklahoma, are on the precipice. They got to get past Georgia to get the SEC championship. Oklahoma's got to get past college football playoff semifinal. Kind of the same thing there. And we're also going to learn so much more about recruiting on July 4th, because not just because what Caleb Williams is going to do as it pertains to Oklahoma, Maryland, or LSU, but as that pertains to the entirety of recruiting. Because J.C. Latham going to Alabama was such a big deal because Ohio State thought that was a guy that they were going to win. And then you got both the Brockmeyer brothers still on the board, Tommy and James. If one of those guys goes to Texas or Alabama, the other one probably goes to Texas or Alabama, right? It moves like this. You also still have Kamar Wheaton on the board. You still have L.J. Johnson on the board. Tennessee as a full boat. And you also have kids that are quietly, assuredly going, hey, I decided to commit there because it's the best offer that I got on the table and I'll reserve my spot. I want to know what those spots look like in September, October, November. And then the last couple of weeks of November into what I call closing time, where you summon a head coach to do the in-home. How many Nick Sabans are going to show up? How many Mac Browns are going to show up to say what's really good? Do you really want to do this with your life? I mean, we're going to continue to see this. With Dre Bly being on Mac Brown's staff, my goodness, you're going to find out just how many folks care about where they play football. I'm excited, man. Or is it Dre Bly? I got to look it up. Because I thought it was Dre Bly, UNC. Yeah, I'm right. Don't doubt yourself, RJ. You got this. Cornerbacks coach at UNC. Because I remember going, man, that dude had like 14 picks in 1 year. Yo, Mayberry, do you remember when Carolina went 11-1 and finished number 4 in the AP and number 4 in the coaches poll, number 6 in the AP?
Yeah, I do. Who was on that team?
I got to look it up, but I didn't. It's kind of the point. North Carolina was that good in 97 and we weren't, or I wasn't paying attention? Man, okay. Dre Bly being,
I'm trying to think.
I just remember Dre Bly being a 2-time consensus All-American. I want to say Julius Peppers was on that squad as well.
Yeah, that would have been because Peppers, I think, rookie year was 97 or 98 maybe.
Nah, because Julius could play, every sport because he was just that good.
Yeah.
And it's unfair.
Remember, I had a Julius Peppers rookie card.
All right, so I got it. While we're here, we'll just finish it out. Okay?
We got time.
Jonathan Linton, Deion Dyer, Nah Brown, Greg Ellis, Brian Simmons, of course, Dre Bly, Algie Crumpler. There's one.
Wow.
Golly. Jeff Saturday. There's another.
It was a good team.
Holy crap, man.
It was like a weird, sneaky good team.
Who was the head coach? Mack was the head coach. No wonder. Mack was the head coach. No wonder, because Carl Torbush was also 1-0 on this. I remember this. I remember now. Yeah, because they stopped a mud hole in Vatech and walked it dry. 42-3. That was that game, because I remember going, Beamer, what are you doing? I remember now. Holy crap. Who was the quarterback on this team?
That's what I was saying. I mean, all those names you read, it was kind of a sneaky good team because no one was really...
Golly! What? Oh, man. They had two quarterback system? I got to do so much research now because I remember Oscar Davenport, but that ain't the dude that I thought it was. Chris Keldorf, that dude, or Kydorf, excuse me. That dude. Nah, I had it, Keldorf. Goodness me.
You say it was 97?
97 UNC was the truth. Maybe Tennessee could be the 2020 version of UNC 97. I'm sure they would like to be the Tennessee version of 97 as well.